Postal Service is delaying recent operational changes that have drawn sharp criticism from Democrats. The agency has been in the spotlight as many states expand options for people to vote by mail in November, of course, in response to the coronavirus pandemic. In a statement released yesterday, embattled Postmaster General Louis DeJoy promised his agency is ready to handle whatever volume of election mail it receives in the fall. And in a series of policy reversals, DeJoy announced that no mail processing facilities will be closed and retail hours at post offices will stay the same. He also added that the agency will not remove any collection boxes or mail processing equipment and that overtime pay for postal workers will continue to be approved as needed. Paula Reid has been tracking this story for us, and she is joining us now from the White House. Paula, good to see you. So we know, oh, and happy birthday to you, Paula Reid. It is your birthday today. Very happy
Thank
birthday.
you so much, Vlad. Thank you.
You're welcome. So, Paula, we know the cuts to the Postal Service have been denounced by Democrats, including some Republicans, and they have led to some lawsuits. So I can only imagine what Louis DeJoy was thinking when he decided to reverse course on some of these decisions that he has made, probably in consultation with his lawyer. How is this reversal being received?
That's right. He said that this was done out of an abundance of caution. This is about appearances. He does not want to give any indication that he's trying to influence this election. But he's not backing off of these changes in the long term. He's just putting them on pause until we get past the election. But the Democrats, they've received this sort of a little bit of skepticism. They say that it's great that he's pausing this, but in fact, they want him to go back and reverse some of the things that he's already done. For example, those mail processing machines that have been removed, they'd like to see them go back. Same with those collection boxes that have been removed. It's likely that litigation will continue to go forward. And of course, he will be testifying on Capitol Hill this Friday and next Monday. Democrats also appear to be going forward with their desire to try to make it illegal for any further changes or any further cutbacks to the post office. It's interesting, Vlad, the chief of staff here, Mark Meadows, White House chief of staff, he spoke with reporters a short time ago, and I asked him if the president had been speaking to the Postmaster General at all about these changes or about this decision to reverse course. Now, Meadows says that the president and the Postmaster General have not spoken at all about this decision to hit the pause button. He insists that the U.S. Postal Service decided unilaterally to reverse course here. They said, though, they did give the White House a heads up before they made that announcement. But when we pressed the chief of staff on whether the White House, the administration will push to get those mail sorting machines back up and running or put those collection boxes back, he said he just wasn't sure. But I'm sure that is a question that DeJoy will get when he testifies, if not Friday, then certainly on Monday before the House.
That's right. I want to play, Paula, for you some sound of something the president said yesterday about mail-in voting and how it could impact the election results. Take a listen to this.
It'll end up being a rigged election, or they will never come out with an outcome. They'll have to do it again. And nobody wants that, and I don't want that.
So here's a sitting president of the United States saying something that is unthinkable in the 230 plus years of this country, that an election redo would have to take place. Is that even possible, Paula?
To redo the election, I mean, that would clearly be an unprecedented circumstance. And the president is presenting this theory, this possibility, without any evidence to support it. He's sort of criticizing universal mail-in balloting, where states decide to send every registered voter a ballot, which they can send in. He's criticizing that, again, without evidence, suggesting that it will result in fraud, because he and his campaign do not believe that he will benefit from that. It appears what he's trying to do here, Vlad, really is sow seeds of doubt about the eventual outcome in November, about the outcome of this election. He did this in 2016, too, only it was with in-person voting, where he was raising the questions. So it still remains unclear exactly what form of voting the president does think is just not able to be abused. But here it seems the long game for the president here in making comments like this is to sow seeds of doubt about whatever the outcome is in early November.
Yeah, but, you know, just logically speaking, if the outcome is in his favor, will he still say the election is rigged? I mean, that's the flip side of this coin,
yeah.
You know? And the president tweeted this morning, if you can protest in person, you can vote in person. First of all, the president is not himself voting in person, number one. And number two, it's sort of remarkable that he thinks that only people who are protesting are the ones who don't want to vote in person. There are people who have comorbidities who perhaps do not want to vote in person. There are people who live in rural districts in this country who may find it beneficial to vote by mail. So it is sort of remarkable that he's framing the discussion around one of protest and one that doesn't seem to favor him or favor Joe Biden if Joe Biden is the loser.
Yeah, what's so interesting about those comments is that really the block that people are most focused on, right, are senior citizen voters. They're the ones who look, senior citizens, they vote. They're a reliable voting bloc. In certain states, a very reliable voting bloc for the Republican Party. And the question is, how will they vote? And for a lot of them, they may believe it's safer to mail in their ballot. But if they believe that President Trump, that it's not safe or there could be some sort of fraud or abuse, they may be less likely to do that. So it'll be interesting to see how that strategy plays out. We know for the most part, the protests that we've seen around the country, there are not a lot of elderly people participating in those protests, maybe just one or two. So it's not a great analogy. The point the president appears to be trying to make is that if it's safe enough for Americans to go out and protest, it should be safe enough for you to go out to the polls. Dr. Fauci has also said that you can make voting in person safe enough. But again, it's up to everyone to sort of assess their rights in their state, the options that they're entitled to, and select what is best for them, especially if they are immunocompromised or at any heightened risk in the wake of COVID. It's really an unprecedented situation. And instead of sort of trying to make it safer for everyone, the president instead seems to just be really focused on trying to undermine the credibility of this election.
Yeah. Paula, let me ask you about this. The Senate Intelligence Committee released its final report on Russian interference in the 2016 election. It's almost 1,000 pages long, and it found that President Trump may have made a false statement to Special Counsel Robert Mueller. This is the bipartisan Senate Intelligence Committee controlled by Republicans. So what can you tell us about these findings?
Yeah, it's such an important point, Vladimir. This is a committee that is run by Republicans. So the president likes to dismiss the Russia investigation as a hoax, but here it's his own party that found the president may have given false statements. So when he told investigators that he did not recall any conversations with his longtime friend and advisor, Roger Stone, about stolen Clinton campaign emails. This committee found that, in fact, the two men spoke about these emails on multiple occasions. And just last month, Roger Stone, his sentence was commuted by the president. It was a 40-month sentence for trying to obstruct this investigation into possible election interference. So this is not a great finding for the president, suggesting that he may have given false statements to investigators. You know, the president recalls things that happened in 2015, 2016 all the time. He can remember statistics, states he won, by how much. The fact that he would not have recalled these conversations is surprising in the context of his overall pretty sharp memory for things that happened during that period of time.
Have we heard a response yet from the president or the White House?
Yeah, the White House has dismissed this. They say, look, there's no proof of collusion here in this report. Again, they're not directly addressing the fact that they're accusing the president of making false statements. There's also other findings about former Trump campaign chairman Paul Manafort in here and his contacts with folks linked to Russian intelligence. Vlad, the biggest takeaway, though, from this report is what this means for whoever comes after President Trump. If he loses, for example, in November, or if he loses, for example, in 4 years, let's take the upcoming election. If he loses, then Joe Biden presumably would need to make a decision. What do you do with this evidence? This suggests that the president may have lied or been dishonest with investigators, federal investigators. That's potentially a crime. There are other investigations that have uncovered potential criminal wrongdoing, either by the president or by his associates. What would an incoming president do with that? Do you preemptively pardon the president to sort of move the country forward, knowing the president faces other investigations at the state level? It's a big question if the president is not reelected in November or when he eventually leaves office. What do you do with all of these investigations and all of these open questions about things that have happened during this administration? It's not easy.
Yeah, not easy at all. I still recall, of course, back in 2016, when Norah O'Donnell, the anchor of the CBS Evening News, asked campaign chairman Paul Manafort if he had any contact with Russian oligarchs, and sort of bumbling across that finish line, Manafort did. Paula, thank you so much.